300, what's the deal? It's your folks, Shaka. Wanted to share my thoughts with y'all real quick. So yeah, I wanted to speak on the origins of the Crown Act, and that is why I'm making the video today. You know, I had Myra B asked me to speak on this back in December of 2021, but you know, we got time today, so let's get into it. So as you all know, the Crown Act was passed in 2019. This act is in place to help ensure that so-called black folks are not discriminated against because of their physical features, primarily speaking on the hair. But where did this start and why? You know, I can tell you that it was definitely not because they hated black people's physical features. Okay? It's a little deeper than that. This stuff became a thing because they hated what they liked but could not have. Okay? The term hater comes from them. They are the first people to collectively hate what the Most High did not bless them with and blessed another group of people with. And pretty much that's how they get down as of then. Anything that don't come from them, they make it a stereotype. Okay? I still laugh about how yesterday, you know, back in the day, they try to literally make so-called black men being able to dress sharp a stereotype because the other dude was not capable of doing it. All right, it was ridiculous, but these are the things that they do. But you know, y'all, back in the 1700s, when they were over here creating these colonies, there were so-called blacks and there was those other people. Okay, now, not all so-called black folks were slaves. That is a myth. And most of those other people were broke and they had no slaves. In fact, what they are is somewhat of an experiment. You know, Europe sent their worst over here when they started this country. They did not send their best people. And so what you see today in those other people are offsprings of trash. Okay, whether you want to believe it or not, that's the truth. But when they got over here, y'all, they realized they had a problem. Okay, see, these people were not used to people of African descent, and they had not yet really established a lot of the stereotypical propaganda that is out here today. These people were extremely attracted to people of African descent, and they still are today. But, you know, the propaganda and stereotype barrier is pretty thick, but it is definitely falling, as we can see. But it was so bad, y'all. These other women literally demanded that the governor do something because the other women, so-called black women and so-called mixed race women, were causing these other dudes to not be interested in them. Okay? It was a problem. They were taking all of the attention. And so what the governor Esteban Rodriguez Melro did in 1786 was introduce the Tignon law. Okay? Now this law required that both so-called black and mixed race women wear their hair wraps and other garments to cover and hide their bodies. Okay? This is, you know, to stop the stir up, because back then, y'all, a so-called black woman or a mixed race woman, they couldn't just walk down the street with their hair out. Okay, it would be equivalent to the highest profile Instagram model out here today kind of walking down the street in a crowd of men in very skimpy clothing. Okay, they were breaking necks back then. All right, but this is the reason why I laugh today at the so-called bonnet gangs and stuff like that, because they're basically perpetuating what was placed on them to suppress a part of who they are. All right. But since then, they have worked on encouraging so-called black women and so-called black men to accept a lot of these European standards. Because why? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the women, you know, obviously it makes it a lot easier for that other woman because she doesn't have competition if every woman is trying to be like her. Okay, that knocks that out of the way. But one would ask, okay, so why is the Crown Act here today? All right. Well, it is here today because they cannot afford to ignore the truth. They cannot afford to ignore the laws of Most High's nature. Okay, they need their people to be a little more open to other groups, and so they have to turn down on a lot of this divisive propaganda. Okay, that's kind of putting them in a place where, as y'all see today, they're having these infertility issues, these offspring issues, and various things like that. They're also realizing that that so-called other woman is no longer valuable enough to lock out other groups of women who are capable of having better offsprings than her and just having an offspring in general. They're realizing that they can't really put her up front anymore as the real standard. Okay, when that was never true anyway. That was always propaganda. They are last when it comes to the standard of the woman that a top tier man would need, especially if he wants to be serious and have families and things like that. And so, yeah, y'all, that is the origin of it and the reason why it existed anyway. They didn't want people to they got a product out here. It's a food brand. It's called Back to Nature. That's what they don't want. And so that's all that was about. Y'all, there are 3 classes of cultures out here. All right, in my opinion. You have the culture of belonging, you have the culture of survival, and you have the culture of elitism. And what you're seeing with these other groups of people they are falling back from elitism into survival. This is why they have to roll back all of this stuff. Okay, they got to roll back this whole Roe versus Wade thing. They got to roll back all of these invisible laws like the Tignon laws and stuff like that, because they have to face reality. All right. And so, I wanted to go ahead and leave it there. Y'all comment below. What do y'all think about the Crown Act? You know what I'm saying? Give your opinion. Like this information. Hit the sub button and the bell. We dropping shit y'all like. It's your folks, Shaka the Urban Philosopher. I'm out. It's 300.